Unsung Murder Ballads discusses topics of a graphic nature and in graphic detail, and may not be suitable for children under 13. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Unsung Murder Ballads. I think this is episode 29. I'm not 100%
Hell
sure.
yeah, almost 30.
That's right. We're almost middle-aged.
Oh my God,
Oh
stop.
my
I'm
God.
too close to that. Don't say that to
Oh
me.
God. I'm well past that, but I am Janus dead.
And I'm Joyous dead.
All right, so tonight we're going to be discussing the case. Actually, I'm not even going to tell you the name of it just in case. So I'll start with our normal little teaser intro.
Or you know that I never know the case. So
That's true, but this one actually has a feature film made about it.
a feature film.
An actual like movie release. So that's why I'm
Oh.
like, I'm not going to say the name of it because that's also the name of the film.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. So Brian Barrett was leaving work one night as he had done 100 times before. He had recently been chatting online with a very pretty young woman named Jessie, and
Doubt it.
he was excited to see where things were going. He had met her because a coworker had met her online, and things had taken a bad turn for them. But that had worked in Brian's favor, and he was now getting to know her better. The girl did live out of state, but not so far that they couldn't make things work.
Have
His
they met in person?
Not yet, but hold on. We haven't even gotten to this part yet.
Okay, sorry.
So his love life was looking like it was moving in a good direction. Brian got into his car, and then, bam, a gunshot rang out.
Whoa.
So this is the crazy case of Tall Hot Blonde.
Tall, hot blonde. That's the name of the case.
Yes, that's the name
Is,
of the
is that her
case.
like username online?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. So
Tall, hot blonde. Yeah, that sounds fucking real.
well, the fun. I'm laughing, but we'll get to it. You'll see. It's not exactly what you think.
Oh, okay.
So I'm assuming that you know what catfishing is.
I do know what catfishing is.
Right. For all of those that don't know, do you want to explain it or do you want me to explain it?
I would love to explain
Go
what
ahead. Explain to
catfishing
our
is.
listeners what catfishing is.
So, a catfish is a person who goes online and poses as a person who they are not. So often it's like a scammer posing as a very hot woman trying to get you to send them photos or not send you photos. Sorry. They'll often send fake photos and then ask you for money. Or it could be any number of things, but basically a person luring you into something with a false identity.
Correct. Perfect. So now one other note I do want to make before we continue is that I usually use the last name of the perpetrators as I discuss the crimes because I really don't like painting them in a sympathetic light. But in this case, due to changing identities, I am going to use this person's first name because it heavily relates to the fake name. Does that make sense?
I'm sure it will.
It will. And trust me, it's going to be real obvious as we go. But I just wanted to make sure that our listeners know, because normally I would call this guy Montgomery because that's his last name. But because of the way he does his scam here, I want to make sure that you know the difference between him and the person he's pretending to be.
That's perfect. All right, cool.
Okay. So while online love stories and hookups each start in their own unique way, for Thomas Montgomery, a 46-year-old former Marine who worked as a machinist in a factory, life was pretty traditional, pretty standard, pretty boring. He had a wife, 2 daughters, and even taught Sunday school at his church. That is until he received a simple hello while online from a pretty 18-year-old girl.
Ew.
It started innocently enough. Thomas Montgomery was in his children's gaming chat room. Let me repeat that. His children's gaming chat room. When he first received a greeting from Tall Hot Blonde. He felt he felt flattered that an attractive 18-year-old was interested in connecting with him. Even though he was married, his dull job and generally sexless relationship made this kind of forbidden prospect sound really enticing.
Naturally. I
right?
mean,
I mean, yeah, just imagine this boring, mundane life, and all of a sudden, here's this thing that's put out before you.
yeah, it's not suspicious at all.
No, not at all. And in some weird ways, people have speculated it's not a coincidence that he worked with children in his church and then he's in this minors game chat room. I don't necessarily know that he was there with any nefarious purposes initially, because
I
he
mean,
is
he could have been there trying to monitor.
correct. It could have been any number of reasons. So I don't
Right.
necessarily think that the initial part was shady, although it does become shady.
As it always does.
So, of course, he's turned on by talking to this 18-year-old girl. And she starts talking to him about like the fact that she's a virgin and kind of needs someone to show her the rope sexually and all this other shit.
Lord.
Right.
And
So-
he's like, oh, yeah,
Yeah,
get me in there,
Yeah,
idiot.
he starts eating it up.
Mm-hmm.
But he also knew that he couldn't tell her who he really was because he knew she wouldn't go for that. So he figured it wouldn't hurt if he told her that he himself was only 18, buff, like fit, and helping the country as a Marine. Right. So
God.
he has a screen name called Marine Sniper. And with this fake new persona, Marine Sniper and Tall Hot Blonde began what he started to see as this epic online romance.
Oh my goodness.
Over the next year, they talked about love and even marriage while engaging in digital sex.
Oh, nothing. No, there's never been a love story like Tall Hot Blonde and Marine Sniper.
Right?
Oh, one for the books.
Yeah, Romeo and Juliet eat your heart out, right?
Yeah, literally.
So Thomas had sent a photo of himself from when he was younger and actually in the Marines, claiming that that was him at that time.
Well, that's a decent catfishing scheme.
Right. And in this persona, Thomas started calling himself Tommy, and that was how Jesse knew him, as Tommy. So he wrote about how he was over in the Middle East defending the country, etc. And at some point, Thomas actually began thinking of himself as Tommy. Like he was confusing which one of these was the real persona.
Interesting. Like he's so in character.
Yeah, he's becoming Tommy in this world because that's who he wants to be.
Right.
So Jesse started sending Thomas sexy packages. We're talking like worn G-string panties and photos and videos of herself.
Oh my.
Yeah. So
That's very realistic. Okay, I see how he's okay.
So here's what bothers me about this, because how is Thomas keeping this from his wife?
Yeah, that was my first thought. It was like you're getting sexy packages and your wife's not noticing.
So my thing is, I think he works an overnight shift. It's a factory. So I'm thinking that he and his wife aren't working similar shifts.
Maybe.
And
And maybe he
he's
has a PO
home.
box.
Maybe. And he does tell her that the address she's mailing this stuff to is a kind of centralized point from the military where they then forward locations to soldiers that are deployed overseas. And it's not 100% wrong, because when I personally was stationed over in Okinawa, Japan, yes, you sent something to Okinawa, but it still went to a centralized base there, and then it was sorted out and went to all the different bases on Okinawa.
Right. That makes sense.
So that's what I think he's telling her. Although, I mean, granted, most people don't know anything about the military, so Buffalo, New York probably wouldn't send up a red flag for the average person.
Right. It's like
I
could
would
be a
be
base
like-
there or something.
Yeah, I would be like, there is no Marine Corps anything in Buffalo, New York, except maybe a recruiting station. It all started, and it's very much an unlikely romance, but it soon turned into an online addiction.
Mm,
Now,
yeah.
this next part I can only attribute to how much Thomas must have actually hated his life, because no one should ever do something like this.
Oh my.
Thomas began telling people he worked with about his relationship with this teenage girl.
Son bikes, I hate it.
They all knew he was married. So my guess is they just thought this guy was full of shit. And if you saw him, he's not out of shape, but he's balding and not great. He's not like super attractive, and he's got glasses, and like they're probably all like, yeah, okay, whatever, guy.
Yeah, they're probably either like you're lying or you're getting scammed.
Yeah, right. But my other thing is, why risk telling someone that knows you're married that you're even entertaining an extramarital thing?
I don't know. I think some people have friends who wouldn't say anything.
I guess, but like,
Some
I don't know.
people suck and have a bunch of friends who also fucking suck.
That's true, but I don't know. To me, it's just weird. Like, you don't.
Yeah, it's risky and stupid for sure.
Right. Now, Thomas's wife was aware that something was amiss, and because Thomas was spending so much more time online,
Yeah.
she knew that their marriage had kind of started fizzling before all this, but he seemed particularly distant as of this point. He wouldn't even get off the computer when she needed to talk to him.
Yikes.
Right. So as time went on, Thomas began to feel as if his online relationship with Jesse was more real than any other part of his life. He even
Oh,
proposed.
buddy.
He even proposed to Jesse, and she accepted.
Oh, oh, Lord. This is ridiculous.
It's so fucked up. So they begin planning for him to travel to West Virginia where they would meet up because that's where she was from. And I'm not 100% sure what Thomas was thinking here. Because did he honestly believe? Let's pretend that this is actually an 18-year-old girl. Okay. Did he honestly believing that she was gonna meet this 40-something-year-old Thomas and be okay with it?
Right. Like, he probably thinks, I don't know. People can be really fucking delusional.
Yeah, I guess, but like,
Just,
I mean,
ugh.
is she gonna say that, oh yeah, all these bullshit conversations we've had that made me quote unquote fall in love with you mattered so much that I don't care that you look nothing like I thought you did?
Right.
Yeah, you've been lying to me the whole time, but come on in. Yeah, no, I don't think so.
You idiot.
So on January 2nd of 2006, he even wrote in like an online journal, Tom Montgomery, 46 years old, ceases to exist and is replaced by 18-year-old battle-scarred Marine Tommy. Yeah.
Weird.
Delusions within delusions.
Delulu, baby.
So this facade would come to a screeching halt when Thomas's family stumbled onto his fake life. It was one of his daughters who found his disturbing chat connection and was so creeped out she went and told her mother.
Good girl.
So his wife Cindy would start kind of looking around, and she found a box full of panties and photos.
Ew, no, that's bad. I don't like that.
Not good.
No, not good.
So now, I mean, she was aware of her husband's predilection for lying. I mean, she's been married to him.
Right.
So she contacts Tall Hot Blonde and sent a photo of her family so that this teen would be aware of the truth. Now, this photo shows Tom as a middle-aged man that he actually was, not Tommy the Marine that he was pretending to be.
Right. And this is smart. Like, if Tall Hot Blonde was actually Tall Hot Blonde.
Correct. The way she would behave.
The way, yeah, then it's a smart move to just be like, nope, you're talking to an old man, and that would nip it in the bud.
One would hope.
One would hope.
So Jesse received Cindy's message and was devastated. She was furious with Thomas and wrote that she felt that he should be in jail for what he did. To get revenge, Jesse publicly exposed Thomas in online chat rooms and also came up with a more fucked up and very interwoven revenge plot.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she started looking through everyone he interacted with, and she found someone, she basically found someone to talk to that Thomas knew, and she began to pursue a relationship with him to make Thomas jealous and rub it in his face.
Oh my God.
So using the same chat rooms, she found his coworker, Brian Barrett, who was a handsome 22-year-old man. Jesse told Brian all about Thomas calling himself Marine Sniper and how he had tricked her by pretending to be younger and sending these older photos of himself. And basically, Brian exposed Tom's fraud to all his coworkers.
Oh, damn. She's getting him.
Yeah, Jesse, while he was doing that, Jesse began to continue to expose Tom in all the different chat rooms. So he was like losing respect from everyone in every direction.
Damn, she's good at revenge.
She's really good at revenge. So despite all of this shit, though, she would still sometimes message Thomas.
Wow.
She told him that she missed Tommy and wished that Tommy were real.
Oh.
That started giving Thomas hope that she could eventually accept the real him, middle-aged man and all.
Huh.
Yeah. But over time, as she continued to fuck with him, his messages to her became increasingly threatening and violent, to the point where he actually one time sent her a message that said, Brian will pay in blood, the other guy.
Jesus.
Yeah, right. You'd think that you'd, I don't know, call the police, right?
Yeah, you would think. We say that a lot. You would
Every
think.
time. So unfortunately, Thomas would actually deliver on his threat. So when Thomas he overheard Brian gleefully telling coworkers that he was actually going to meet Jesse in person and, quote, because this all men talk, unfortunately, to pop her cherry.
Ew.
Yeah. Thomas
I hate men.
Yeah, that's so stupid. So Thomas was thrown into a blind rage. So on September 15th, 2006, while Brian was leaving work, Thomas shot him and killed him with a military-style rifle.
Holy fucking shit, dude.
Yeah. The Marine sniper, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess that was a little bit true.
Right? So once the report of the murder came in, it didn't take long for police to be able to zero in on Thomas Montgomery, as coworkers of both men were completely aware of this online love triangle going on.
Right. And
So-
like in the parking lot of your job.
Right? An idiot.
My brother in
idiot,
Christ, please.
Right?
Ugh.
So police captain Ron Kenyon later said that their first concern was to make sure that Jesse was still alive.
Oh, yeah.
So when police arrived at Jesse's West Virginia home, her mother, Mary Sheeler, answered the door. Jesse was not injured, nor was she in any distress. Police told Mary that they needed to warn Jesse that one of the men she was talking to online might be on his way to hurt her. Mary told police that her daughter Jessie had no idea who Brian and Thomas even were because it had been Mary the entire time, pretending to be her own fucking daughter.
Oh, God, that's nasty.
Right?
Oh, come
my God.
on. Whose panties were they? Oh.
So for the record, that is my notes down further down. They're not sure if she bought the panties and wore them herself or if she stole them from her daughter's dirty laundry.
Oh.
Yeah.
I just hope
Fucked
she sent
up.
them herself.
Oh, can you imagine?
But she obviously probably stole all those pictures and videos from her daughter.
Oh, we're going to get to this. Don't
Oh,
you
no.
worry.
Oh, God, no, help me.
So as creepy as that is, the panty thing is, she would wait for times when her daughter was showing even a hint of skin and photograph her without her knowledge to use as her fake persona.
Oh.
Yeah, her daughter worked as a lifeguard. So like she was basically sending Thomas a lot of photos of her daughter in bathing suits. Her own fucking daughter.
That is so upsetting.
It's so fucking
God,
unreal.
That's gross.
I can understand getting a kick out of fucking with some dudes online, especially creepers preying on young girls. But to use your own daughter,
You're inviting them to prey on your daughter.
yeah, that's a new level of fucked up.
That's horrific.
Absolutely fucked up.
Yeah.
And not to mention that this little game of hers got someone killed.
Literally. What the actual fucking fuck?
Right? So police did try to hold Mary accountable for some kind of crime, but there was nothing they could charge her with.
Right. She did something fucked up, but not illegal.
Yeah, catfishing is not a crime in and of itself unless the person uses copywritten material or commits identity theft.
Me when I catfish someone as Mickey Mouse.
Right. Yeah. You're like, that's so fucking bizarre. Copywritten material. What?
Yeah, no, I'm in the chat rooms, convince everybody that I'm Wonder Woman.
And you just quote her lines from the movie.
Yes, I make an AI bot of Gal Gadot's voice,
Oh my
and then I
God.
make it say, "Oh
Oh
Lord."
man. So Mary claims she did not know or believe that Thomas would kill Brian.
Right, I guess that's fair.
See, my thing is, you'd think she'd be able to be charged for accessory to murder or maybe like, I don't know, negligent manslaughter, but nothing.
Maybe, yeah, I guess like they probably had looked at the chat messages. Probably highly depends like what those were saying.
Yeah, and I doubt she was encouraging him to do anything because I think that's would be the key point, you know?
Yeah, very much so. She was probably just like, "Oh, like that's weird. Oh, you want to hurt him? That's weird."
So in her own defense, she claimed that she thought she was trying. So basically, what she thought she was doing was talking to men that she knew were older that were in teenage chat rooms, trying to keep them away from other teenagers.
Interesting tactic, my friend.
Right. So in some kind of poetic justice, though, Mary's husband did divorce her, and
Okay,
her daughter moved away and cut ties with her altogether.
good,
So she's alone now, probably
good.
catfishing more idiots.
Yeah, I mean, have fun with that. Just don't get anyone killed, Mary.
When the police did apprehend Thomas Montgomery for the murder of Brian Barrett, they built up a strong case against him because they did find his DNA at the crime scene in terms of bullet casings and things like that. They did find a family photo that showed him holding the gun he used to shoot Brian.
Well, there you go.
Montgomery, though, would strike a plea deal and was sentenced to 20 years for murder.
Damn.
Yeah, and like I said at the opening of this, there's both a documentary and a film about this. One is called Tall Hot Blonde in 3 regularly spelled words, and one is Tall Hot Blonde as one word but with only one L on tall for some reason. I think that's how she was known on the chat thing they were doing. So yeah, so you could watch something about this if you felt so inclined.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like I want to watch the feature film. I don't need it. I don't need the realism of a documentary.
I can see that. And I tried finding them before doing this case, but I was unable to, at least without paying for it. So I was like, I'll just wait. But yeah, that is the entire case of Tall Hot Blonde. A very short one this week, so I apologize to all the listeners. We are running short because we are planning something very cool for Halloween, and we need the extra time to do, extra stuff. But we'll explain that in a couple weeks to you, I promise. So
Yes, you will discover our plans for you.
what's really funny about this is that you figured out very early on that the girl was fake.
Yeah. Was it
Because
not obvious to you?
no, it was pretty obvious to me, but when you listen to some other podcasters do it, it's funny how it's not obvious to them because the
Huh.
reaction of people who have no idea that twist is coming is really funny, but you saw it right away.
I mean, her name is Tall Hot Blonde. No Tall Hot Blonde makes that their username.
That's true too. But you didn't see the mother coming, which was awesome.
I did not see that coming. I thought this was going to be a random persona.
Some
Although
dude,
it was
yeah.
the ability to send videos was the part that made me start to think that there's no way this is actually a real person. Like, but that was what made me suspicious of like maybe this is an actual teen who's just getting a kick out of this because she's bored.
Especially because you were like, well, once the truth comes out, she's just going to bail. And then I'm like, no, she's getting this revenge. So I think that may have swayed you a little bit as well.
Yes, it did. Yeah, because I was like, huh. Like,
because if that was like some dude fucking with you, once he's ruined the guy's marriage, he's just going to move on.
Right. And I didn't think she would actually be hurt by it.
Right. And she shouldn't have been. But here we are. And she wasn't realistically. She was just continuing to fuck with everybody.
Right. She was just having fun with it.
Which is nuts. So.
Yeah, it's fucked. But yeah, I'm suspicious of I mean, first of all, an 18-year-old interested in a middle-aged man, but then also he was lying.
Yeah, he was lying too, which is the best part. It's two people catfishing each other.
It's just beautiful. There's symmetry in the universe.
Right. And here's an interesting twist on this. So when I served in the Marine Corps, I was stationed in California, and we all lived in different buildings, and the phone numbers for our rooms were based on like the area code we lived in, the building number, and our room number. So as long as you knew where someone was, you could call them. You didn't have to look up any directories or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Every Thursday night in the Marine Corps, at least back then, you had to clean your rooms. And they were inspected Friday morning. And if you didn't pass your inspection, you didn't go out for the weekend. So one Thursday night, I'm in my room. At this point, I didn't have a roommate because the guy I had been rooming with got out of the Corps and had gone home. And I was kind of waiting for the next person to arrive. So I had this whole room to clean by myself. And my phone rang. And I answered it, and it was a girl. And she just started shooting the shit with me. And I'm like, do I know you? And she's like, no, I'm from 29 Palms, which is the town outside the base. And I'm like, no, you're not. And I'm like, so I'm asking all these questions. And I'm thinking it's like one of my friends from back here in New England fucking with me. So I was like, all right, if you're really from 29 Palms, what's across the street from this place? And she knew the answer.
Huh.
So I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And as I'm talking to her, it turns out she was the teenage daughter of a Marine who had nothing better to do than call a random Marine's phone number to try to, I don't know what, because I didn't continue talking to her.
No, that's we don't need that.
However, I'm 99.9% sure that once I disconnected that call with her, she just dialed another number.
Oh, probably.
So that's some scary shit. And
yeah,
that was pre-internet.
I mean, yeah, and that same shit now happens in, internet chat rooms. It's
everywhere.
Dangerous.
Everywhere. Like the whole joke about sliding into someone's DMs. Yeah, that shit's crazy. It's everywhere.
It is.
So yeah, so that random tangent there, but I had to share my experience with something like this, but I was smart enough to not get involved, especially
and weren't trying out with a teenager like this guy was.
But even if she wasn't a teenager, even if she told me she was 25, I would still be like, why are you calling a random dude's phone number? You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't trust it.
Yeah, way to make a guy feel special, huh?
Right? Like, yeah, it's not like we met at a bar or something. Like, you're just going to dial my phone number. You could have gotten anybody.
Literally.
So thank you guys for joining us this week. We will see you next week. Once again, I am Janus Dead.
And I'm Joyous Dead.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.